And we're live. It will take a few moments for us to propagate across the different platforms, but welcome again to MESHfair 2024 at Decentraland Art Week. It's an absolute pleasure to be here again on our live tour. We are going to be exploring we're going to be exploring three very, very different worlds within the MESHfair installations for Decentraland Art Week 2024. I can see that we've just been joined by Kim, so we have a full house of our initial guests that are going to be joining us today. We have Kim Currier from the Decentraland Foundation. We have the artists Carla Knopp, Dixon, and Abieyuwa. And we're going to be jumping around Decentraland and exploring the installations that they've created for MESHfair 2024. If you are joining us right now in World, you can be in World with us at coordinate 6161. You can see I am just streaming my screen as well as hosting this evening, this afternoon, this morning's tour, wherever you are in the world. We are live within Decentraland Art Week Plaza at 6161, and we're going to be jumping through Teleport. If you are starting to listen in through Twitter or through LinkedIn or through YouTube, you can join us directly in World at decentraland.org. Just go to decentraland.org. You don't need a headset. You don't need anything special to jump in World, just a web browser. And we're going to be meeting at 6161 and then heading out to our cubes. Kim, do you want to say hi as the Decentraland Foundation and tell me, how's your Decentraland Art Week been so far?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, sorry I'm late. It's been busy, but great. I'm so excited to see all of the cubes that have been brought together by the MESHfair, visiting all of the 8 galleries that we have. It's been so exciting watching the community really engage and get to explore art in such a virtual way. I'm so impressed with the caliber of artists and the experiences they've brought into this space. I think it's really pushed the boundaries of what can be done in Decentraland. And that's what we always hope for when we do open calls and bring new creative minds into this space of how can you take very basic constraints of triangles and poly counts and all of that kind of stuff and coding and do something new and innovative and really creative. And I think that has all been done. And so it's a huge accomplishment and a shout out to all the artists who were willing to step outside their comfort zone, try something new, and jump in world with the community. So really excited. I have not visited these 3 cubes yet. I was waiting so that I could do it live. So I'm excited to do that today.
Oh, I think we should just go. Yeah, let's go. So just start jumping. So I'm going to put, if you're new to Decentraland, check out the chat, which is on your left-hand side. I'm going to be putting in the coordinate for our first cube of the day, which is by Carla Knopp, one of the artists that's with us right now, live in Decentraland and also across the socials. Carla, we're going to be jumping to your cube at 5964. So if anyone's joining us, you can see it's become a hyperlink in the chat box. You can just click on that link and it will take us into Parasol by Carla Knopp. Carla, as we jump in now, would you like to sort of give us a quick overview about who you are and how you came to be involved in MESHfair this year?
I'm Carla Knopp, and I'm known in the world as Ogelta. And I started doing these digital virtual environments about 5 years, about 2015. And originally I did them as video, as 2D and 360 video. It was kind of a continuation of my oil painting art. And it sounds really different, but, I kind of, as an oil painter, did these sort of allegorical scenes that were, fairly intuitively found within the process. So, I kind of came to value this kind of allegory over narrative or any other kind of, sort of process. And so I find that once I started learning digital modeling, I found that these worlds were just sort of a natural continuation of my paintings. And so, about 5 years ago, I started actually building for and within virtual worlds. And so that's where I'm coming from with that. I try to bring in that same sort of, the same type of experience that, I made with paintings. I did find when I entered the metaverse, my work became a little more conceptual at first because, you're dealing, a lot more with context. You can't help but become conceptual about it. So, and I've gone through a few phases, but I'm kind of committed to circling back around and making these a little bit more like these sort of personal allegories that reflect, my personal and worldly things that are going on. And Parasol kind of did that. It came as sort of an intuitive instant kind of thing where I was just playing around in Blender with, there's a modifier called the cast modifier. It'll take your model and it'll kind of cast it into a different shape. And so I was taking this figure through that, and all of a sudden it turned into this inverted parasol. And that just made the whole environment. So I kind of built off that idea and added some more animations to that. So I kind of like to keep these as, kind of an open allegory. I find that, working this way intuitively, that it does reflect things that are going on. It's just not a direct story or, it's not a topic. I find that I trust, even though I kind of don't always know what I'm doing, in terms of the content, I really trust, what comes out of this process. It seems to have some kind of meaning. So like I said, I'm kind of happy to see Parasol, like I said, sort of get anchored back into the core of what I do as an artist. It felt real satisfying to have that happen. And I see people in there. I'm not in there. I'm not sure, if you click on the emblems, they'll play animations and sound. They're set up to do this locally, so it should be for each person. But I think it might be something where if you really want to see each one of them, you might want to go in separately. But I wanted to keep it set up so they could overlap in chaos. So I did set up all the conditions so that you could do it either way. That was real important. I thought you could, but it's, it's kind of a combination of these elements, this kind of stern, austere figure. And then you're putting it through these ludicrous, conditions. You're putting it into awkward poses. I don't see it moving. Has anyone clicked on anything, or maybe it's just not,
I'm going to click now. I'm waiting for what happens is people keep getting in the way of my click.
I thought it would just be chaos of people clicking, but I didn't put instructions because I tried to, and I didn't like how it looked in there. I wanted to keep it spare.
Sorry, that's me, Bay, and the pink hair probably getting in your way. I'm trying to move.
So there we go. See, so we've got the parasol click.
That is the parasol click. Yeah.
Cool.
And I don't know if there's the audio. If it clicked a lot, it'll not say play. But
well, the audio, I think everyone's seeing their own relative experience in here right now. So when people click it, they're seeing this happen, whereas I can see it when I click it. And unfortunately, I can't show you the audio at the same time because it's going to cause some craziness in terms of the reverb across the screens. But for everyone in world right now, when you click these icons, we've got these 4 different experiences. The first, the one that I clicked first, is the parasol. So we see, for anyone that's kind of listening in, you can see this figure expanding and creating a parasol shape. And then if we move across, Carla, which other ones do we have?
If you click it off, it's best because then you'll restart. To the left is smile, the happy face. It kind of just
there we are.
I don't know where that came from. I just did it, and some of this is like a little bit of a sick humor. But at the same time, I don't, like I said, I'm playing around with putting these things together, and I'm thinking a lot about paradox, and that's reflecting a lot of things we're dealing with in the real world too. We have all these situations that don't work together, but they're being put together. So, and then if you click it off, you can see the light, and if you click it off, and then the glitch hands again was just kind of a fluke. It's over just to her right.
Again, this is one of these things where, unfortunately, you have too many visitors. So I wonder, for showing this one, if we should jump to an empty realm to show the cube interaction.
I'm gonna.
I know normally we don't want to because we want to be surrounded by everyone. But.
Well, I think we should encourage people to come back and say, if you want to have the quieter gallery experience of me being able to press these without Hugh Power getting in the way. Again, it's always Hugh Power. Hugh Power is one of our awesome community members that is such an art lover and is coming to all of these tours. And so Hugh Pow, I love you, but I want to click that button right now.
You know, it adds
probably filming. They make amazing videos, so they're probably also filming at this time.
Yeah.
It adds a layer of ludicrousness to it to see all the avatars in there, I have to say.
Absolutely. So I'm going to try and go directly to the hands as if I can get it right. I think I've got some. Let's see. There we go. So we have.
I think you're on the lotus.
Flower. Yeah, I'm on the lotus.
The lotus. Yeah.
It looks amazing with the avatar. Your creative avatar performing within the Decentraland community avatars as well. There's such a joy about these interactions. So we have the lotus, and now I'm going to sneak around you, Kim.
Oh, I can move. Let me move. I'm going to get out of your way.
I'm going to stop the lotus. I'm going to come back, and Kim has moved. So, but now I'm blocking myself. So let's see if I can get to this one. There we go. Let's see. There we are. So we have the hands.
No, there it goes. There's
there we are.
Hands. Yeah, got them all.
That's fantastic.
I'm happy to see it didn't crash with everyone. You know, I wasn't sure what would happen. I had it set to local, but I wasn't sure what was really going on, you know, in terms of, I think if you go into it and they're already going, you have to shut them all off. And then, well, anyway, it's fun to see that. Yeah.
Yeah. I do recommend coming back solo because I remember coming in the first time yesterday and it was just so cool. The lighting and just that bear figure right in the middle, very solemn looking. And then the surprising things that happen when you click the buttons. It was very impactful coming in.
Thank you.
Solo.
I think the biggest challenge was keeping it sparse because you want to just keep adding things, and I made myself, you know, not do that.
Good restriction. Bay, I saw you do this when you come in. Do you want to talk to everyone about the skybox adjustment you did in this cube? Because I feel like this one in particular, it could make a difference.
I think, yeah, it's a really good tip for everyone that's in world right now. If you are new to Decentraland, you will not know about lighting in Decentraland. So Decentraland is a dynamic environment, and we have a skybox. The skybox automatically sets to changing during the day. So there's a daylight time, there is a night time, and everything in between. If you want to see the cubes within different lights, you might want to change your own skybox. So if you go to your icon at the top right-hand corner, click it, and go to settings, you can see there's the dynamic skybox, which automatically is on. You can turn that off, and then you can set the time of day that you want to view the cubes in. So for example, for Carla's cube, if we dive in at midnight, you'll see it's a very different experience with this gorgeous indigo blue that floods this space. But if we want to see more of the detail of the build, we can go and say, put the lighting into midday, and then dive back in, and we have kind of closer, I think, Carla, to your original colors in terms of how you perceive this build to be in world.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, too many people. I keep clicking people by mistake.
I was going to say there's a coding equivalent too, because I found the same thing in mine where I'm using kind of flat colors that were changing quite a lot at night versus daytime. And so you can actually detect night or daytime. And in mine, I was altering the colors on the models based on the time of day. Try to keep it across. So there's a coding solution there too. I
think it's one of the things that perplexed me when I first started creating for Decentraland. I come from a painting background as well, and it's like I likened it to having to hang your oil paintings in a nightclub. It's like, because most power users of Decentraland always have night mode on, so that getting around that sense of I have no control over the lighting for my installations, and yet that can be kind of joyful as well of understanding that so many different people are going to have a different perspective on the cube. Carla, how did you kind of imagine that in world for your installation?
Well, you mean in terms of the lighting?
Yeah, I think we had a conversation about it, didn't we?
Yes.
As the cube was coming together.
At first, it's sort of, you know, I've gone through a process of letting things go. At one point, you know, I was popping in to see if they were left on, because if you leave them on, they stay on. And then I had to go, this is, you intentionally wanted this to, whatever happens, happens. And at one point there was a shadow that comes over it. And at first I was a little bit horrified, but then I decided, from the outside environment. And then I thought, no, that's okay. It kind of goes up behind her in a way that is pretty cool. So, I definitely found myself adapting to, what will be in here. So, I did do baked lighting. And I thought that would be more set, because I used like an unlit shader with, and I didn't realize you could do high dynamic range too. I was really surprised by that. But I think maybe because it's one-sided cube, the outside lighting affects it maybe more than if it wasn't. I might be wrong on that. I don't know. But I think it's worth it, because if you back off, you don't get the occlusion of a cube. So I kind of wanted to keep that one-sided like that. No, I'm real happy with, like I said, it was kind of hard to keep it sparse, but I'm glad I did. And I really like everything that happens, that's that's not controllable, that just sort of is sporadic, I think it's interesting.
Abieyuwa, are you in the cube with us as well in World?
Yeah, I'm in the center. I was able to press like 2 of them, and one, she like went sideways and then was like spinning or something. And I want to try the other ones, but I think I'll have to come back when nobody's in here.
This is the thing. It's this different environment when we have the community in the space. If you are listening with us right now and you're looking, if you're on Twitter, if you're on YouTube, if you're on LinkedIn, I would recommend jumping in with us in World at Decentraland.org. Finding us in Carla's Cube right now, which is at 5964 in Decentraland, and just really experiencing this as your avatar within the space. It is something else.
I just looked in. It's a little horrifying. I feel so sorry for her right now.
It does have a little bit of a sinister vibe about the poor lady in the center of our...
Oh my.
I've really had the joyful moment of bringing the technical team here when we had our technical walkthrough of all the builds. And a lot of our technical team come from a gaming background and also an architecture background. And this was one of the cubes where they were, oh my goodness.
Oh, good. Oh, wonderful.
we haven't seen something like this in Decentraland before.
Oh, wonderful.
So congratulations on this experience.
That's wonderful.
Where do you see this going next for you, Carla? After creating this installation?
I mean, I am kind of amazed by what the online SDK builder can do. I'd be fun to play around with that a little bit more. I've got a build I'm working on for something else, and my plans have been to go to do some more augmented reality. I kind of want to reconnect locally with people. I mean, it's an odd thing to be here, because I get the sense that no one is doing anything like this, but I'm probably wrong about that. But I do kind of want to do some a strong augmented reality project here in town, but I'm definitely I want to bring more of the personal allegories into in general the virtual spaces. And maybe in the past I've made huge builds with way too much in them. They're like 5 builds in one, and I realize you need to keep it a little bit more like this, where it's one idea that kind of just hits it. And then, so I think a lot of smaller builds, or, that kind of do one thing like this. More like the videos where they were just like 1 to 5 minutes, a little big stuff. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for creating this for MESHfair. It's been it's one of the ones where I think you can keep coming back. So everyone here who is having maybe some difficulties because how busy we are pressing the interactivity, come back. We're going to be jumping now to Rob's Cube. Kim, before we leave this one, like, what do you take out of this experience created by Carla?
Sorry, I'm also talking in all the chats. So if you see me looking, that's what I'm doing. Had to find my screen again. It was really cool. I love the diversity of cubes. Like, some are so busy. And then I came into this one and I was like, oh, it's so serene and simple upon first look, where you're like, oh, this is like a simple cube. And I mean that in a positive, not a negative. Like you had said, you could add so much, but there's beauty in the simplicity here, and seeing the interactions happen on their own, and each with action come across. So I really liked that. And I love the color that it is in this skybox right now. Like this teal looks really cool and kind of puts you into, I don't know, a meditative-ish type of setting that I think works really well for this space.
We're going to keep talking. We're going to jump. So please, Carla, keep with us. We're going to get your reaction to Rob's. We're going to go first to Abieyuwa's cube. So Abieyuwa, we're going to jump straight away now until 63, 65. So if you are joining us in World, I have just put the link for the next cube, which is Abieyuwa's cube. We're going to be joining to 63, 65. Again, we can just click on that blue link and we can be teleported directly to Soul Sanctum. Abieyuwa, as we teleport, would you like to introduce yourself and your practice?
Yeah, so my name is Abieyuwa, or a lot of people call me Abby. I'm a multidisciplinary artist. I actually graduated with a degree in new media art. So I really like to experiment with different applications and just basically any art style that I think is interesting. I'm like, okay, I want to try it. So I saw this open call, and this is actually my second time ever making an environment. The first time was a collaboration with another artist, Rayanne, and we made a gallery for Monaverse. So this is my first time doing it all by myself, and yeah, I just wanted to see what it was like. And then, checking out everyone else's cubes, I was like, whoa, I didn't know you could do all of these things in Decentraland. Like, I've explored Decentraland before, but never built in it. So this was just a great experience overall. And so, yeah, a lot of my art is like inspired by my real life, but also I like to draw inspiration from like nostalgia or the past. And I also like to draw inspiration from my culture. But for this cube, I drew some inspiration from, like, in Alice in Wonderland when she eats the cake and then she shrinks, and and also the movie The Secret Life of Arietti, like when they're really small. And so I was like, oh, I think that would be cool. And like I wrote the proposal, but when it was time to actually make it, I was like, oh, what did I do? Because I'm gonna have less space than everybody else. So that was kind of a challenge. And then I definitely was inspired by like the 60s and the 70s. And I gathered a lot of references on like Pinterest. I made a whole like mural board, and there's a lot of like funky wallpaper, shag carpet, and patterns and things like that, and interesting furniture. So I tried to fit as much as I could. And then, of course, maintaining the 10,000 triangles, because I was like 9,000 and something. I was like, okay, that's too much. But yeah, everything in here, I made it low poly because of the 10,000 triangle limit. And then I was able to do the animated GLB. So that's the record player on the ground. And the music is like royalty-free, funky music. Like I just searched for funky music and I found some tracks I liked. And so they just loop in the cube. Yeah, so that's mine.
Very cool.
Abby, can you see everyone right now interacting with your cube?
Yeah.
On our stream.
On the bed.
There's a party starting. We've got some, a bed in is starting on the bed. We've got a party going on below. We've got some people hanging out in your bubble chair. It's a really one of those environments you enter, and if you can in World, we're in Abby's cube, which is at 63, 65. It's one of those environments you enter and your mood changes. Can you tell us what you intended us to feel when we enter this space?
I think like when you have your own room, like how you decorate it says a lot about yourself and like your personality, that kind of thing. So I wanted people to see it and like think about what kind of person owned this room. And it's like someone who's very bold and someone who likes music, that kind of thing, like a fun type of person. Yeah, so I just wanted people to like draw conclusions of what kind of person owns this room.
Mm-hmm.
I love we always say like in Decentraland, each space has a vibe. It's like a very particular vibe. And I came into this and I was like, oh, I get the vibe. So I love that even though I'm not listening to the music, I can imagine what the music is in this space by the wallpaper and the elements that you brought in. So that was really, really cool. I'm watching the chat and people are like, oh, this is fun in here. So I appreciate you bringing that element to the community.
Thank you. I'm glad everyone likes it. It was a brand new experience and I didn't know about like the colliders and all that thing. So like when I first made the cube, I realized I completely walked through everything and I was like, oh wait, how do I fix that? And so, you know, that was like another lesson for me because like I like to learn something new every time I create art. So I really like this experience.
Mm-hmm. I think this is one of those scenes that's really enhanced by having a lot of people in it, in their crazy outfits and doing all kinds of funny stuff. And because of the scale too, it really brings that kind of Alice in Wonderland party vibe to it. So that's really cool.
Thank you.
I feel like this is one where the community could shop and change their outfit to fit the vibe, like very 70s. We have some bell bottoms and like fun thematic clothing that could also work in this space. So I wouldn't be surprised if I saw people switch up their outfit as they jump in.
I think we should actually say that. Guys, if you're in the cube right now, everybody, switch up your outfit. We want to see the party outfit to fit this room, or the bedtime outfit. I think those of you on the bed, if you have some pajamas, this is the time to start rocking the pajamas. I'm looking at you, Derek. So for you, Abby, what's next? Like you've created this, as you said, this is your second immersive build. How do you feel? Is this something that might continue within your practice? Where are you at right now with this?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It's like now that I know how to do it and also seeing the other artists' cubes and seeing the possibilities, like, okay, now I can build something even crazier next time and try some of the interactive stuff that people did and maybe more animation, that kind of thing. So I'm just eager to explore all the possibilities of like building in Decentraland or in any other like 3D world or the metaverse, you know.
Can I ask a question, Bay?
Of course. I just got distracted by the banana. I'm sorry.
You never know. It's like a banana. There's like a hot dog sometimes. Like it's like
Derek has put his pajamas on as he's bouncing on the bed.
I'm curious how you found the open. You had mentioned like I saw the open call and came in. Where are you as an artist kind of looking for those opportunities, and how did you stumble across this one in particular?
I think I was on Zep. How did I find it? Honestly, I spend a lot of time looking for opportunities since, you know, just as an artist in general. And I think I came across Zealous for another open call. And then I saw this and I was like, okay, like I have some experience, like, let me just try and see. Wasn't really expecting to get picked to actually do it. So that was a nice surprise. But yeah, I think I had submitted for something previously and then I saw this on Zealous.
Well, kudos to you for seeing it, seeking out those opportunities and really trying something new. One of the things I love about these spaces is we're meeting so many new artists who maybe haven't built in Decentraland before. And once they jump in and see what's possible beyond their initial imagination, what they come back and do the second time. We've seen a lot of like second time artists that are like, oh, I did something totally different now that I learned or I saw. And so I'm excited to see what you continue to build. That's really cool.
Yeah, thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
I should explain for anyone joining us right now, especially across the socials, that we're live. We're live inside a MESHfair Cube. So MESHfair is happening. We have 32 different artists that have all installed incredibly diverse 3D immersive installations within 12 by 12 meter immersive cubes in the Decentraland virtual world. If you can join in, we're at decentraland.org. You don't need a headset. You can just jump in and join us within these experiences. And as Abby was explaining, this all came from open call. So we had, I think, over 80 artists that applied to be part of MESHfair. And we had a board of 15 international curators, galleries, people like Vellum LA, people like Glitchmarfa in Texas. We had, Unit London, Office and Part in Berlin, all then curated this open call to select the artists that they wanted to see represented within MESHfair. So it's incredible how diverse the installations have been this year, and also talking to the curators and galleries in the various tours that we've done so far, it's just that pure joy of being able to see something that was a proposal at the open call stage translated into something that you can explore and walk around and start jumping on and having that interactive process. Carla, how was the application process for you? How did you find it coming through this?
I knew about it last year, and I just didn't have the time to do, and I regretted it so much. And I knew about it, I think, from friends that did this last year, and so I was on the lookout for it this year.
Rob, how about you?
Yeah, that was the same for me. I mean, we talked about it last year, and I knew about it then, but I didn't have the time to really put it together. And so this time I revisited the project I was thinking of for last year, and put that in the cube this time. So definitely wanted to be a part of it after seeing last year's show, how great that was.
And Abby, in terms of your own practice, then this is your first installation. What's the body of your work that we could explore outside of this cube?
I do a lot of 3D work. I have art on like different platforms. A lot of it is like referencing my heritage, but like one more directly related to this is I did a collection of editions called Vintage Visage, and it was like the old advertisements you see in magazines and stuff, but inspired by the 60s, 70s, and 2000s, the 80s. So it was like I was already in that mindset or whatever of like nostalgia and vintage stuff. And so I was like, okay, let me see what kind of environment I could create with the same kind of inspiration.
It translates so well into 3D.
I was going to say, if you can turn your camera to the big chair, Tang took us up on the outfit change and is totally, I don't know where she went. She's in she might have, did she change again? She was in
she's changed again.
Like a glitter, no, she didn't. She's up there.
Oh, yeah.
She's in a glitter, like bell bottom crop outfit. She was like, I can change. There she is. Hi, Tang.
I just saw a lightsaber. So I think we've got fire classes because of foxes with a lightsaber. We've got Yolanta's doing some excellent Tai Chi in a kind of, I would say, a jogging outfit. We've got lots of pajamas now on the bed. We got some glittery, that Shiny's doing the best 70s glittery with the boots and the hot pants. It's kicking off in your cube, Abby.
Yeah, I really love how it looks, and I'm glad the music, I feel, really ties it in together. So I'm glad everybody's enjoying, the vibe of the whole cube.
Another one, if you are in World right now, you can obviously hear the music. If you're outside of World, jump in whenever you can to Abieyuwa's cube, which is at 6365, to hear the music. It really does put that extra layer onto the experience. I think we're going to jump through. I think we're going to jump to the next. So hold tight. We're going to go now to a completely different experience. If you are in World with us right now, we're going to completely change up the vibe, and there's a lot to explore in your cube, Rob. So we're going to jump. We're going to go now to Rob's cube, to Radix's cube, which is at 5663. Again, if you're new with us, just open the chat window down at the left-hand side. I'm going to be putting that as a hyperlink, which is at 5663. And you can just click on. And as we do, Rob, do you want to introduce yourself and your work?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Rob Dixon. I'm Radix in World. I have been in Decentraland since the beginning, since before the ICO, and a part of the building there and creating games like the One Mind game. But prior to that, I was never studied art, so self-taught as an artist, but was always into art and design. Made my living as a coder, corporate coder. And game developer, worked on the Flash team at Adobe, that kind of thing. But then learned about art blocks as well in 2021, and have been pursuing generative art practice with art blocks for a few years now. released a few projects there. And so with this project, I wanted to bring kind of generative art sensibilities into the metaverse and into 3D in general. So this is actually a collection of 6 different sculptures in the box. This was originally designed as kind of outdoor sculptures, like moving kinetic sculptures. And there is another outdoor gallery in World at -166, but don't go there now. And so this is the indoor version, put in a box. So take giant fountains and sculptures and stick them in a box and see what happens. So they're generative in the sense that you can load one after the other, and they all have kind of different animations and different dynamics and mechanics to them. And the music goes with it. There may be performance issues when we have multiple people in here. We haven't really tried that hard with more than a few people. But the fun thing that I really like about this, in Decentraland, the rendering is actually really nice for flat colors when you're in a controlled environment in the cube. So I was really happy with that. And they just keep moving perpetually. So you can just kind of create your own moving abstracts, just, point it at a certain way and just let it, and just watch the view and watch the colors go by and watch the shapes go by. So it's a lot of fun. The idea is kind of, public sculptures. Imagine a fountain in the middle of a plaza that you would just come up and say, oh, well, that's cool, but I want to change it. Let's try the next one.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a good cue. I'm going to show the next one. So at the bottom here, we've got this UI that we've got. This is one of six environments. And I'm going to pause this environment and I'm going to click to the next. Can you tell me about your choices here?
Yeah, so the first one, I kind of went to my game design aspect for some of this, where you start simple with just a few mechanics and kind of introduce new ones as you go. So the next one, and sometimes you might have to like pause, unpause to get it to go again.
So it worked perfectly for me earlier. So we might be hitting the limits of.
It could be
the incredible number of people in here. Let's try. So yeah. I'm going to. Seems enforcing the camera view. Okay.
Yes. So it is doing something.
Okay. Yes, we've got the second.
So you've got your second one. And so where the first one was just fountains with the gravity, this one actually has sticky walls. So that one will have the things will actually stick to the walls and make patterns as you go. Yeah, I think we are going to have some things.
I think we're edging onto it. So we did have it 2 seconds ago that we had the pink fountain opening up on the floor with the walls, the balls starting to stick on the walls. So
right.
I'm wondering if I should refresh. So I'm going to refresh and dive back in again and see if I can force it to be happier with us.
And I do have a backup as well, a backup cube if at 62 minus 122. If anybody wants to try it without all the people around.
Well, I think we should try and dive in the people party here, and then we'll dive absolutely. To show what's happening outside. But it's incredible because this is just pushing the limits of this technology as far as we can go. And we came and tested it here. I think there was 10 of us testing with Foundation, but obviously it's a less controlled environment than having all of us changing wearables, emoting, doing async movements in a completely generative space. I think the fact that we can do this is already incredible. So let's see if I can force it to change.
I'll say the unique thing about this one is that there are no 3D models. The only 3D model here is the cube. Everything else are primitives created in code at runtime using the Decentraland SDK. So everything's generated here and as you do it, which is why we can just kind of move on to the next one. It just wipes out everything and starts again.
I think it might be this move on that maybe, let's see if we can make this work. So we can definitely get into the first. It's whether we can then change into our second, which I would really like to everyone to be able to see.
Right.
I think we're going to struggle. So I think we should leave the party happening in the main cube. And should we jump then into the backup to show this progression of the different versions?
I was just
Sure.
testing to see if I can jump into Balder Realm, which is an empty realm too, so you don't even have to move if you just switch it.
Ooh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyone again that wants to have this tip, if we are in the map, we can jump into a different realm. So can you see here, we've got Decentraland Realm. So in Maine, we've got all the people right now. So we've got 140 people in Maine. So we're going to warp into, we'll join you in Boulder, Kim, and see if we can force this onto a different server. So we're jumping in now to Boulder. I'm going to close that down. We can see in the URL at the top, you can't see it on my screen, but we now have realm equals Boulder. Obviously, now we've got everyone jumping into Boulder. We're going to try and run into the cube.
Everyone followed me.
Let's see.
Stay partying where you are.
I'll stay out of it. I saw it earlier, so I'll stay out of it.
Are you seeing it in Boulder right now? Is it working for you across the realms?
No. So we can try to make a cube.
We're going to jump. We're going to jump in the backup. So
Okay. It's 62 minus 122.
I love that you're prepared with the backup cube.
This is someone that has been in Decentraland for a while.
Yeah.
I'm able to see the second one, actually.
Oh, great.
Awesome. Are you still there, like at the party with everyone?
Yeah.
Nice. Sometimes Bay and I are also streaming and everything, so we may be slow.
That's true. That's true. It does seem to be browser related when it stops loading. Like browser memory limits are getting hit. There's literally thousands of objects being created and destroyed as this thing goes on. So it's definitely pushing the envelope. So the interesting thing about the ballistic sculptures is I designed them so they're really creating a design spec, like kind of an object model. And then there's different ways of seeing them. So you can see the sculptures on the web, in augmented reality. That's working in Decentraland. So the idea is one sculpture, you can then go and try it any way if you want to see it on your phone and put it on the ground next to you, or on the road or something like that, you can do it and watch it there. So.
We're getting some questions going like, what even is this? Coming through the chat. This is a generative artwork in 3D that Rob has created in pure code. So yeah, can you tell us then, Rob, about these different versions? So we're in Fairy Graffiti right now. So if you're a little bit confused, if you joined us, we've switched to a secret cube to leave you guys in the party cube in Decentraland. But we've switched to the secret cube to show you these different versions that you'll be able to see if you're in world without the party going on. So we've got Fairy Graffiti here. I can pause that and I can switch through to Bounding Box.
The one fun thing is when you pause, you can actually run around and still enjoy the frozen world that you have created at the time. So, and so this was just showing some more of the, some more of the kinetic aspects, the bouncing off. So when I designed these, I had to kind of look at all the different ways I would want to render it. So using the Decentraland SDK, 3JS, augmented reality, all of those, and go down to real basics for what are the basic building blocks for any kind of 3D application. And really the only thing that were common amongst all the different platforms I looked at were spheres, cubes, and cylinders. That's it. So that's all that there is here. So it's basically just a configuration of spheres, cubes, and cylinders with a very primitive physics engine that's hand-coded. And then you can see them in a lot of different ways.
I find this totally magical, Rob, especially being able to switch between these environments. Which one's your favorite after creating these 6 different spaces?
It's a tough one. The fairy graffiti one, I really like the color scheme that came out with that one. So that one's fun. This one was a fun one to do because he kind of giving you an ocean vibe as part of this one. And using a lot of the generative art techniques. So there's a noise function that's deciding how the walls are kind of waving around like that. And deciding, this is a rainfall kind of fountain that's going there. There are platforms above too. So if you look up at one of the platforms and you can get your cursor on it, you'll see a jump on.
Oh, wow.
And so you can jump onto any of these floating platforms and look at it from above.
Oh, cool.
So this is what I was saying before, how the idea is that every one of these is also a great 2D abstract if you can look at it that way. The Decentraland rendering with a little bit of glow and all these things gives you really great flat colors. So you can actually just kind of sit in one place and space out and see a pattern of things happening. And it's just kind of an ambient animation, if you will, ambient abstracts.
Kim, your reactions so far?
I know, I feel like I keep muting myself because I keep talking. I'm like, ooh, ah. It's super fun to see. I like the colors you've chosen that are like this one, for example, like a little more muted. I feel like Decentraland color schemes can tend to be very flashy. And I like that this has that like muted undertone. I think your space feels really big, even though obviously they're all the same size. And so I think that's a cool element of like with the height and the lines, it makes it feel like it goes so high, especially with these floating structures that you can get on top of and look down to get a very different visual experience. So that's really cool. And I haven't seen generative in this way before. So that's really neat.
Yeah.
I love those stairs. Like I can imagine the community like jumping and running up and down the stairs too.
Right.
I think we'd all just feel awestruck going, ooh. It's a bit like a firework display of going, okay, I want to see what happens next. We're in Orbis now, which is the 5th of the 6 experiences. So I'm going to pause this and I'm going to jump to our final one, Canopy. Rob, is there any significance in the order of these different worlds?
Yeah, just pretty much kind of doing the different dynamics. So the third one was showing kind of a wall of fountains. They were all kind of cascading over the top. The fourth one, the seawall one, was showing the rain fountains, I call them, where they're just going down, they're dropping in a certain sequence and making patterns as they hit. And this one was just these, I call these kind of pitcher and catcher fountains. So there's 2 of them matched and they just, shoot at each other. And then this made a very interesting, as I called canopy, over the top of this. I figure this is also the one that would make the best one for a dance party because you have this floating stage going up and down in the midst of it all. So, and there are songs matched to each of these that are playing, when the sound is going. So, and the fountains in each song, one of the fountains is matched to the beat. So you will find that they do match when you're in there and hearing it.
We've got a lot of comments coming through. We've got Bosque Gracias, who's one of our artists that thinks everything with us, saying what a beautiful work. I think everyone's playing, whether they're in the main party area or our secret preview cube right here. So if you are jumping in with us, we are both live in Decentraland and across all the social media networks. We're at Decentraland.org. If you want to jump in, you don't need a headset. But we're exploring these 3 incredible cubes that were created by artists Carla Knopp, Rob Dixon, and Abieyuwa for MESHfair 2024. And we have with us as well Kim Currier, who is one of the judges for the Decentraland Prize, which is going to be awarded tomorrow. Kim, would you like to say a little bit more about the prize itself?
Sure. Yeah, I'm going to pull up the details on my end just so I say it properly. But definitely, yeah, I'm really excited. This year, the foundation is giving prizes to 3 cubes. The gold prize will be 5,000 USDT, silver 3,000, and bronze 1,000. Just for people, the criteria is scenes that showcased what's possible in DCL in an innovative way and an interesting interpretation of the theme of exploration. So really excited to participate in it. We have judges across different parts of the foundation. So content team, coding, marketing, just kind of looking at them from all different perspectives. But we've been talking about, all of us keep going like, oh, I'm not sure, let me change it, and like just keep going back and forth because all of the cubes are so innovative and there's so much interpretation in that I hate judging things like this, honestly. It's my least favorite job, is judging things, because I think, as we all know, art is, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And I think here we're just looking at like what feels fun and different in this space, because that's something Decentraland's all about, is like, is the community coming in and having a good time or having a unique experience that maybe they couldn't have in the physical world.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think
they've been so fun.
Well, I should say I am not involved in the judging whatsoever. I'm staying well away from the judging. But I think what we should do is we should jump back into Art Week Plaza to join the community again as we have our final kind of 10 minutes of this call. So I think we should jump. If you want to stay in Rob's Cube, I think we can kind of jump back there first, see if we can see the party going on in there, and then we will go back into the chaos of Decentraland Art Week Plaza right now. So I'm going to jump back into the main plaza. We are in Boulder right now. So if you are new to Decentraland, you can see I can change my realm to join back into main with everybody else. So we're going to warp into the main plaza right now. And we're going to go back into, let's see how this is working. We're in main, we're in the position. I'm going to jump to your cube again, Rob, because I'm not sure where I am right now.
Right.
It looks like I'm still in the empty cube. So let's see if I can jump back into this and force it to jump in. Let's see. This is when we start getting into twilight zones between. There we are. So I'm going to jump in now into Rob's cube with everybody else. And let's see, entering cube 1, excellent. And I'm going to see if we can get Fontainebleau playing. And we can, great. So while we're with everybody else in Rob's cube, the big question I've asked everyone in the tour so far, and had some really diverse answers, is what surprised you most about this process, about being part of MESHfair and Decentraland Art Week 2024. Rob, in your cube, would you like to start? What's been the most surprising thing for you?
I think the variety of the content that we've seen, of all of the artworks, some, very strong conceptually, others just beautiful. It's been really interesting to go cube by cube and see, how even in this, 12 by 12 meter space, so much different stuff can happen.
So that just that diversity of what you're seeing within the cubes.
Right.
And I shouldn't really ask, do you have a favorite out there in the 32?
No, I can't say that. I have some, that I've gone back to multiple times. So, but yeah, I'll probably have to do my own judging, as it were.
Mm-hmm. I would encourage everyone. Everyone needs to think about their one, because I know it's gonna be so hard to be part of the Decentraland Prize this year. This is why I'm not. Leaving it to Kim. Kim, it's all on you. But it's that sense of these cubes are so different and so diverse that I think everyone, you should choose your own favorite, get a selfie out there on the socials, and just kind of support the artists that have really moved you this year in MESHfair. Carla, what about you in terms of surprise?
Well, the same thing with the diversity on the cubes. I'll go back to I was real surprised that your online builder is just really fantastic. I couldn't believe, I mainly focused on the animation, but just your drag and drop components with the animation, they had all these conditions you could add, and there's just quite a bit you could do as a non-coder. I didn't even get into all the other things because I was trying to be sparse, of course. But I was really impressed by that. And the HDR lighting, I still, I didn't even, I actually had already baked my cube and uploaded, and then I realized I just tested the HDR and it actually imported it, and so I had to rebake everything. But I was real impressed by that.
That's great to hear with the editor, and yeah, the lighting is something I think this is from every MESHfair. Everyone's like, oh, these elements that the different artists are using and then can take forward into the next build. Avi, how about you?
The whole experience in general was just kind of a surprise. But like the fact that people can code and create all these crazy things, like the first day when I was just online checking out my cube, and I was like, oh, let me sneak a peek at everyone else's, and I was like, whoa, like I had no idea you could do any of this stuff. Like I thought everyone was just modeling, but I see like AI and code and this and that. So I mean, it's amazing what is even possible in Decentraland, and like to see everyone's interpretation of the theme, like that was very surprising.
Kim, I can see you nodding there.
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm always shocked at what people build in Decentraland. I am not an artist or a coder, and so having people do one or both of those things and bring their creativity to life is always so impressive. For me, even working here, I see something new every day. I'm like, ooh, I didn't know we could do that. And so that's what I think is cool about this being available, this being open source, is that everyone brings a unique perspective and a unique skill set to it that can take it to a level that our team wasn't even thinking about. And that is what we hope happens every time. And I do want to say thank you to everyone for the feedback on the editor. I know the team worked really hard getting it improved and as far along as it is for Mesh, so that everyone can come in and maybe not have to be a coder and be able to create such immersive experiences. So I will be sharing the feedback with the team as well. I know they'll be excited to hear it worked well for you.
And finally, I want to hear what's next from all of you. Like, what's next in terms of your practice, whether it's in virtual worlds or outside? What can we look forward to from your work? Carla, would you like to start?
Oh, well, like I kind of want to do some more intimate, using this as an art medium, and maybe scale it down to where they're just little visas. I do want to do the AR, like I mentioned also, but I have quite a few ideas sort of lingering, that some of them just from videos I did. It's like, well, now let's see what this looks like as an actual world that you walk through. So there's a lot of ideas like that percolating. I've kind of redone my life so that I can barely squeak by and do more what I really want to do. So this is an exciting year for me that way. So,
and if someone listening right now wants to follow your work, where would they go?
I have a couple websites, but I don't have a real active, account in terms of, I used to do a blog, but I'm on Twitter and LinkedIn, and then I have carlaknopp.com is my main artist site. I currently have olgaforce3d.com. That was originally a 3D printing website, but it kind of an umbrella for all my digital work too.
So that's at OlgaForce3D on Twitter. If anyone wants to follow you, everyone wants to share images of themselves and your cube, to tag you at OlgaForce3D.
Yes. Yes, OlgaForce3D. Yes.
Abby, how about you?
I think after this, I definitely want to do more of like world building. I've had good experiences both here and another platform. And then I keep saying I'm going to learn how to code, so I feel like I need to actually do it. I keep telling people I will, but I need to actually sit down and take the time. So I'm definitely going to get into like coding and just learning new skills in general.
A big tip, if anyone's listening, is that if you want to start coding for Decentraland, I started through the process of doing builds. There is a massive open source library of different builds that you can download and just start playing with, which is a great way of learning in real time, of just downloading the code and starting to switch things around. And so it becomes a lot more creative and a lot less like a lot of the coding courses online that are quite dry, I think, for creators, whereas downloading an interactive gallery with UV video projections and just starting to switch things in, it can be a lot more motivating, especially as a big shout out to Decentraland. If you do have a ENS name, then you have a world in Decentraland you can just start deploying to and start experimenting in. So you don't even need land in the main Decentraland Plaza anymore to start doing those deployments. So especially when ETH gas fees are low, Decentraland names are amazing. It's how you see the community have their own names above their heads in world. And if you have one of those as well, you have this land within your own Decentraland world that you can really start creating with. So, yeah. But the community is awesome, by the way. So if you have any kind of follow-ups and want to start diving into this thing, the Discords, the channels are really great for everyone just to help out and send information.
Yeah, and I wanted to add, there's a lot of tutorials out there. Most of our creators are all self-taught, which is so impressive, honestly. They don't come from animation backgrounds or coding backgrounds. So there are tutorials on the Decentraland YouTube channel that you could follow, but also even if you just Google Decentraland YouTube tutorials, our community members have made so many amazing ones. KJ Walker, Sinful. So you can find those easily as well. And if there's something you're looking for and you can't find it, DM me on social media at the Decentraland handle, and I'll make sure we can shoot over documentation or a video for you.
Abby, you can't get away with it now. We're like, yes, code.
I guess I have to now.
Rob, how about you? The surprises coming through this year.
Yeah. So, well, let's see. Ballistics actually will get released as a generative art collection in the next couple months. Still locking down the platform and the date and time. But that will be interesting. It'll be kind of the first of its kind that you can see in so many different ways, including in the gallery here. And I will mention there is the outdoor ballistics gallery at -166 in Decentraland. And when these actually mint, you'll be able to go there and put in your token number and load up your sculpture in Decentraland at that space. And right now you can see some big scale outdoor versions of these sculptures there. And then I'm working on another generative art project as well, that's kind of codenamed Glass Houses at the moment. Also 3D based, but very much into kind of a painterly rendering style. So that's an interesting one, and I'll be putting out more about that in the near future. And
Rob, once you're live with the collection, I feel like we should have a minting party at your cube.
Yeah.
So keep me posted. We'd love to collaborate on that.
Oh, that'd be great. I've even been thinking about the idea of minting on the spot in Decentraland.
Oh, yeah.
So you could come and do the transaction right there and have it generate in front of you. So we'll see if we get that far.
All right. Keep me posted. We're happy to help along the way if we can.
Sounds great.
And Rob, to follow your work?
Yeah, at radixart.io is my website, radixart.io, or I'm Rob Dixon on Twitter. And you can often find me in Decentraland as well, like at the Wonder Mine game, still keeping that chugging along. So, yeah.
And Abia, apologies, to follow along with your work, where should we be looking?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter and Instagram. I put my @name right here because I have a long first name. So yeah, it's like Abieyuwa Art, or on Instagram, Abieyuwa.art. And my website is Abieyuwa.art. So.
Fantastic. Kim, closing remarks. We're having to bring this to a close. It goes so quickly.
Closing remarks is just thank you to the artists for putting your heart and your inspiration and your creativity and trusting Decentraland with that work. I think it all came out so beautiful. I'm still staying up very late exploring all the cubes and having a good time checking it out. And I know the community is as well. And for anyone that hasn't jumped in yet, go to decentraland.org and you can jump right in to explore Art Plaza, where you can see kind of all of the amazing work from the talented creators.
It brings us to the close of our second tour of day two of MESHfair 2024. We've got another live tour, our final tomorrow at 5 p.m. UTC, 10 a.m. PST, with an incredible group of artists and curators, including Vellum LA and also Unit London. If you would like to join us again, jump in world, follow us live on Twitter, Decentraland and YouTube, Decentraland Twitter, YouTube and LinkedIn. Thank you to more than 1,200 people that have tuned in to this live stream. It has been an absolute pleasure to have Kim Currier, Carla Knopp, Rob Dixon and Abieyuwa with us today talking about their installations. I would recommend anyone that's been watching this to dive in world, experience Art Week Plaza. There is a wearable or an emote to claim every day by completing the quest. You will miss it if you don't dive in during the day to claim it. We've got I think there's a hat today. We've got a really cool emote tomorrow that you cannot miss. So yeah, join us again tomorrow. And importantly, at 10 p.m. UTC tomorrow, we have the Decentraland Awards Gala, where we will be announcing the winner of the Decentraland Prize for MESHfair and Decentraland Art Week 2024. So thank you to everyone that has been joining us in world and across the socials. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow at MESHfair and Decentraland Art Week 2024. Goodbye, everyone.
Thanks, Faye. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you.